Good afternoon, this is Oxinity Talks on Education. Last week we spoke about what the teachers need, all the personal traits that are necessary, the skills, the knowledge, the training, the commitment, everything. And today we are going to talk with two of the most successful teachers here in Oxinity. And why are they so successful? Obviously, they have all these personal traits and the commitment, the knowledge, the skills that we talked about, but they're also successfully developing their own business. So they're going to share their experience with us today, how they started and how they're doing it. And we have Julie Labate and Catherine Orieri in Madrid. Welcome. We are also with Gracia Guzman in Malaga. Louis Morris is here with me in Barcelona.
Hello.
I'm Radmila Gurkova. Let's get started. Julie and Catherine, you're one of the most successful teachers here, as I said, and let's start with your personal experiences, which are quite different in their beginnings, but then they become quite similar. So Julie, tell us briefly, where do you come from? Why did you decide to become a teacher, and what made you consider starting your own business? Julie, sorry, we can't hear you guys. We can't hear you guys.
That's right. Sorry. So it was a natural transition to move from being a teacher in the United States to being a teacher in Madrid. So first I started with a contract through Oxbridge, and then now after a year I transitioned to being freelance or autonomo.
And Julie, how many clients do you have on your own now?
Now I currently have about 13 to 14 students. So over half of my schedule is my own students.
How does that feel to have more than half of your students on your own? How does it feel?
Be able to have the freedom and the independence to be able to actually go out and find these students, and then also to be able to have the ability to see the progression and also to have the connection with the students and that relationship.
Catherine, you started teaching, you started with your own business right after you finished the TEFL course, right? You went straight into autonomo.
Sorry, I think that was for you.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, I started mine right after the TEFL course, and I think the hardest thing I found was that I don't really speak that much Spanish, so it was more trying to find the websites where I can advertise myself. How am I going to advertise myself? How is the best way, like what language I should be using? So I think that was the hardest part for me. Other than that, the support I've been receiving is amazing. So that helped me, I guess, get to where I am now.
I sort of see them go off and it's very emotional. But then I don't see them for a while and I ask them how's it going and everything. For you, what was the support network like? Who helped you develop your business?
From the get-go, Gracia helped me with everything to do with advertising and essentially becoming like an English teacher spam, so anyone and everyone could find me and see me. She helped me, I guess, develop my brand, or essentially what I am now. So all of the websites that I used, she helped me set up my profiles on them. And then we've also got Maria, who has helped sort out my schedule and I guess my contracts and everything that I needed in order to start my business.
Great. And how many students do you have right now?
And maybe 12 or 14. I've got 2 that I recruited in the past couple of weeks, but I guess it's just waiting to see when they'll find the time to have a lesson.
Catherine, let me quote you here, because you said something very beautiful. I have the patience to help you out, but I'll get you where you need to go. I love this quote because it defines you very well how you imagine or your attitude to the teacher-student relationship. So explain what it entails to you.
Well, essentially, I think it's more about being approachable, being someone that can create an environment where everyone is relaxed, where students don't feel ashamed of any mistakes that they can make. So it helps them just be able to blurt out whatever it is, even if it's incorrect grammar, and try to get their point across. And then I'll help them get where they need to go, meaning I will show them maybe it's any mistakes that they may have made and how not to make that mistake in the future. And then I can also help them with how they express themselves. So essentially, it's more about having a nice, fun, safe environment to not care about making mistakes, but also an environment that's kind of structured. So I will get you where you need to go. We will develop your language. You just need to be able to try, really.
Okay, I have a question here from James. It's along those lines for both of you, really. How do you make each class special for your clients? Do they have different needs? Do you have to tailor-make the classes for the clients, or can you use the product that you get from Oxbridge quite freely?
Sure. So that question, I think, is speaking to what Catherine was talking about before. I think we both feel that having this this way of being able to see the progress with the students, to be able to have that relationship, and to be able to see having more of that personal attachment, where we're able to see the progress and able to create those relationships, actually in turn creates the feeling of maybe the class being something special. So I think it's almost like a natural progression to that feeling. I don't know, Catherine, do you have anything to add?
No, I 100% agree with you. Making classes, I guess, tailor-made for the student, it kind of comes from the rapport that you've got with the student. Like the small talk at the beginning and the end of the classes, or maybe during the class if you ask them to tell you of a time when something happened, you kind of remember that thing just as a normal conversation would be. And in that way, you can then, I guess, find out topics that they're more interested in and see if the target language can fit into that, or if they can express themselves drawing on their own experiences, because in that way they would, I guess, remember it, or remember what they want to, or how to express themselves better.
Do you find that rapport with the students is very important to keep them coming back to you as teachers?
Yes, definitely. I think that the better the rapport with the student, the more comfortable they'll be during the lesson. So if you have a good rapport with your student, they will not feel scared or intimidated when they make a mistake. They just find it easier that way.
Julie, you mentioned about transitioning from one type of relationship with from an employee to developing your business. So what was the most challenging thing, and how did you overcome it?
So I think as far as this question is concerned, it's more the logistics involved in transitioning from having a contract where everything is taken care of for you, your schedule is given to you, you just pretty much go and teach, to taking more, in essence, taking more autonomy with what you're doing. So in this respect, there are some benefits to this with what we talked about before, having this personal relationship, this relationship with the students, that you're able to see the progression, and then also to taking more of that invested interest in that kind of relationship. Also, the logistics of just being able to invoice, being able to think of ways to organize yourself. I think organization is a big key when you become autonomous. So to really just being able to also be creative in the way that you're branding or you're marketing yourself as well.
Gracia, in Oxinity, you're the person that helps teachers start in the initial stages, especially in marketing, promoting, personal branding, even pricing, negotiations. So tell us what initial support is necessary so the teachers end up having a successful ELT business.
Okay, well, so first of all, I think that the most important thing is that they have a strong profile. And that strong profile, I mean, for example, in the media, and everywhere that they're going to advertise. And also, I think that is a matter as well of them understanding what are the strengths that they have and what they can bring that makes them different to others as well. Because sometimes when I start working with teachers, they say, oh, well, the title I put English classes, yes, but English classes with who? What makes you special? You know, what makes you different to others? So first of all is that, knowing their strengths, knowing the type of audience that they want to target with that profile that they have. And then it's just like anything, is getting into a routine, having a plan. And once you have the plan and you just go to the next steps, then I think, well, maybe Julie and Catherine can say that better than me, but at first it takes a bit of time to develop all of that. But once you have it set, I think it's just a routine. It's something else that you do on your day, and it doesn't take that much time once you have it rolling.
Okay, so Catherine, let's hear your personal experiences here. For instance, as of personal branding, do you think it's important? How do you get visibility?
I think the best thing is to try everything. Try all of the sites. Try every single place that you can market yourself. That's exactly what Gracia did with me. And then we just kind of narrowed it down from all of the sites and then focused on the main ones that were reaching the people that were actually would actually, I guess, subscribe to lessons. So definitely, as a brand, I would say your approach should be try everything, because something will stick. And when it does, you can just build on that, and you can find other ways in which you can market yourself. For example, I have a video CV that I have online, and that links to my Xfinity web. There's a link to my Xfinity webpage that has that, and also my teaching philosophy. So everything that I have is on that website, but then I'm also on other teaching websites like Superprof and Classes. So yeah, try everything and do the best you can, really.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that too. I think that the best thing to do is to try to, like you said, to put as much out there and see what sticks, and then also to try to create this feeling of being unique, that you're able to provide a service. You're an English teacher, but you have other skill sets too. So, for example, if you have human resources, in your CV, then you can use that as saying that you have skills with business English, or you have skills to help people with maybe interviewing. So these types of skills that you might not even know that you have can be brought out and then used also to create or set apart, from other English teachers. Because I think we all experience that feeling of there's English teachers everywhere. You walk around Madrid and there's always advertisements for English teachers.
So true.
So I think in order to make yourself maybe just a little bit special, but also to use your skills that you have, and then you feel more comfortable and confident as a teacher when you're using those skills too.
Sure, I think we talked about that last week when we talked about transferable skills too. I have a question here online from Colby Smith, and he asks, what form of advertisement have you found to be the most successful?
Is that for both of us? Do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. So I think what I found most successful was, and I think Catherine I think we both agree about this, is Two's Classes and Superprof. Those are the two that I think have the best interface and the best, I guess, interactive abilities to reach students. They have the different features that are very, very good at being able to connect you with students, but also to be more interactive in the sense of, for example, TUS Classes has a feature where you can post blog posts. You can have your own blog on TUS Classes. I think that's really nice because you can post something about that phrasal verbs and then share it with your social media accounts too. So I think that's been the most successful thing that I've seen for me as far as a tactic is concerned.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree. Also, these websites allow you to link to your personal profile, and that's where the students can actually like book classes and get more out of your contact details. These websites, you can also put your contact details on and get the contact details of the other students, because I know with websites like Lingo Bongo,
Yeah,
it's just you posting your details and you don't know who else or who would want to get in contact or who's getting in contact. It's more random. But with these two websites, it's more organized, and it's just I think it's better and more efficient as well.
Yeah, I think so. And also, just when we're talking about branding yourself or creating your own business, to keep that in mind when you're using these strategies. You know, that TUS Classes and Superprof, they're ways to help you, but they're also, you have to think of yourself now as a business owner. So you have to think of different strategies, different ways to connect, like Catherine said, to connect back to your own websites, to connect back to your own business.
I have another question here online from Autumn Leaves 23, and they ask, what were the biggest challenges facing you? You mentioned that you didn't know whether to advertise in English and Spanish. What did you find was the best solution? What were the difficulties?
The solution is to try everything. The best solution is to try everything. I tried both. So I had posts in English, I had posts in Spanish, and I guess now I'm just settling with the posts in Spanish because that's, I guess, my target audience is Spanish people or foreigners in general trying to learn English. But yeah, try everything, really. Try both because at least then you can find out what you need to focus on or which one works best for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the challenge is trying to find that way to make the post, like with anything, right? It's a way to make the post seem that it would be the most attention, to get the most attention, right? So if you have something like, I don't know, a free class, sometimes that helps to say free, words that will catch someone's attention. I think of like sometimes the reverse, if I was a student, what I would be looking for. So if you try to put yourself in a student's position, then whatever you think would be, not clickbait, but something that would help, to grab the person's attention and to make them want to at least, learn more about your business.
Julie, how do you use social media as well? Because I know that I see you a lot on social media. So I know that you have that discipline to post and that regularity. And how much time do you spend doing that? How do you organize it?
I think that's the hardest thing to as far as a challenge is concerned, that's the hardest thing. Going back to talking about organization, I'm still struggling with this idea of what's the best way to organize myself. I have a spreadsheet that I have maybe 15 websites that I use regularly. Facebook and Twitter, of course, are the best resources for that. And what I use, usually what I'll do is have maybe 3 or 4 hours in the beginning of the month. I will spend just setting up my Facebook and my Twitter posts for the month. I use the Facebook. There's a feature now where you can save your posts and schedule them. And then there's websites like Hootsuite or TweetDeck that you can use to schedule your tweets as well. And then I'll just use the basic kind of advertising posts. And then if I see something that's really interesting, maybe a TED Talk or maybe something about some kind of English event that's happening in Madrid, or something that will be more relatable or topical, then I'll use that and also try to connect that with something, some sort of advertisement as well. And yeah, I think I do post a lot, but I try as many things like we talked about, to try as much as you can, because especially with Twitter, it's very fast paced. So I think the more you post, the better. The only thing that I would recommend not doing is maybe inundating your LinkedIn followers with with LinkedIn posts, because I think that is more of that professional atmosphere. Maybe one post about that you offer services for offices would be sufficient. If you're looking for individual private classes, then I think Twitter and Facebook are the best resources.
And how do you guys manage to deal with everything, like to brand yourself and then to deal with all the workload that it represents, to call students, I don't know, arrange classes, then prepare for classes? How do you manage?
Well, I think it just comes down to the team. I mean, it's not just us doing it on our own, which is, I think, the best thing about being part of Voxinity, because I've at least got Gracia, who I know can help me with advertising, or if I have, I don't know, in contact with students and I'm not sure how to reply or anything like that, she'll help me with my messages and how I should be speaking to them if they contact me in Spanish. And then with regards to like my schedule and setting up classes, it's all down to Maria, who's been an absolute angel and has helped me put everything all in line. So my travel time between classes is absolutely minimal, and I feel more flexible in that sense, because if someone contacts me and maybe I'm in a lesson or I'm having a class, I don't have to worry about taking too long to reply to them, because there's actually someone already doing that for me, it's just absolutely perfect.
Gracia, in this regard, you talk with many teachers, you interview many teachers, and you must have heard all kind of stories and situations. So, without the support that Catherine was talking about, what are the challenges that the teachers have to face on their own?
Well, to start with, just only preparing for lessons and creating material and creating the resources. Yesterday, I was interviewing someone and they said that they spend 2 or 3 hours a day to get organized for the lessons, and that's something that, for example, the system, Catherine and Julie, they have, and they just wake up in the morning, they can check the activities, and I think it's much easier. Then as well, many teachers as well have said about when the students drop, or when, for example, they are used to have 15 students and then suddenly a month, 2 of them drop, and suddenly it's too late for them already to find a new student, because that month is going to be a bit difficult. And for example, what happens here in Oxbridge is that if you continue getting the students, and you always have a backup, you can always get a new one straight away, because you have been working towards that, because also the community, that's what it does, it gives you that support between all of you. Another thing as well is, getting the payments as well, and even stating the prices, because I think whenever you start, the first student, you want to get any student as well, and sometimes you charge them a bit less money, then you have another student that you charge them a different price, and at the end they don't have that stability and they don't know really what they're going to get, and some hours are worth 15 euros and other hours are worth 10, or and I think that's very important as well to have a sustainable business. So those are just a few, and also I would say I'm going to add one more, that sometimes when they work with an academy or with a company, they are quite restricted at the time when they have to teach. So they don't have the freedom to adapt it and to do whatever they think is best. And I think that that's something very crucial for a professional. If you have to feel that you are the professional there, and that you know what you're doing, and that whoever that is working with you thinks that you know what you have to do and that you know what you're doing. And if someone is constantly just telling you what you have to do, is like you don't feel like you are accomplishing as much, I think, in my opinion.
Great, fantastic. Do we have any questions, Louis?
We have a lot, and a lot of the questions are about the practical side. So to put the pressure on you guys a little bit, but we have a question here, for example, from Josh Cutts, and he asks, how difficult is it to be autonomo without speaking Spanish? The bureaucracy of dealing with all of that, is it difficult for you? Was it hard?
Well, no. I think I'm probably living proof because I don't really speak that much Spanish. I mean, I can order a coffee, but it's not the same if you're going into I guess register as autonomo. There's loads of things that you need to do, but after doing the essential, getting your NIE and social security sorted, and then going to register as autonomo, from there it's just plain sailing. It's not hard at all, and if you've got support or people that actually do speak Spanish around you, then it's really not difficult.
Yeah, I think that's the key, is that when you have the support, these things they can be daunting at times. I mean, getting your NIA, everyone knows that that's a difficult process, and also just figuring out how to invoice, and the logistics of things are sometimes difficult in general, and then especially trying to translate into another language. So I think once you have that support, once you have the feeling that you're able to maneuver through this, then from that point on, it's easy. I think, like we talked about before, the most challenging thing is just to stay organized and to take responsibility of your business. In essence, I mean, it is your business, it's your brand, so you have to be responsible for it.
Okay, so how many students contact you guys right now, every week, more or less?
Well, on my end, I have not been actively advertising, but I still have my information up on SuperProf, and I think every day maybe I get about 2 or 3 students contacting me. If I'm actively advertising, so refreshing on all of the websites that I have, then it can get a little bit hectic, depending on the time. If it's at the beginning of the month or end of the month, usually that's when you will get more interest, because people think new month, I don't know, new beginning or new journey, something like that. So when it is hectic, it can be between like 6 to 7 a day. But right now it's down to like 3 or 4 a week, or 2 or 3 a week, just because I'm not actively advertising.
Yeah, that's true. I think I remember in the beginning of the year, everyone had that New Year's resolution where they wanted to learn English.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was a lot. There was a lot of students, and then it trails off, I think, after a while. It depends on the season. It depends on, I think right now it's probably about 3 or 4 students a day. But then I think right now I'm still advertising, because I know that in June, July, August, it's a little bit more difficult, because a lot of people are going on vacation and holiday. So I think it waxes and wanes, but in general, it's about the same.
Do we have any more questions, Lee?
We have a good question, I think, to finish with. What do you find best about being a teacher? What do you find most satisfying about being a teacher?
Do you want me to go first?
Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really enjoy everyone's stories. Like, everyone is different. Everyone has a different story, a different opinion, and I just love being able to talk about them. I think it's really interesting. You get to meet new people. You get to hear different stories, learn different things. I've learned so much about Spain in these past 3 months, like Spanish history, places that I need to go, cities that I need to visit. So it's just interaction with people, I think, is probably the best thing about it. And then seeing the student progress, because when they start to express themselves and they're really passionate about a topic, it's really interesting, and the lesson just flies by, I think.
Absolutely, I agree with that. I think that this mutual exchange, and we're learning about the culture, not being from Spain, and they're learning about our culture as well. And I think that with my background, I have anthropology degree, so for me, it's amazing to see this cultural exchange and to be involved in that, as well as be able to see the progression of the students, and to see that kind of aha moment. I love seeing that. So it's really rewarding.
Great. Many thanks, guys. Pleasure talking to you. Many thanks for being there. Julie, Catherine, Gracia. And if you want to become part of this exciting world of English teaching, do not hesitate, join us at oxinity.com. Bye, see you next Friday.
Bye bye.